Hey everybody, welcome to Combat Saturday for December 12th, 2020. I'm your host, DM Gallibond. Alright, and today on Combat Saturday, we are going to be looking at a weapon that has been around since the very beginning of D&D, and that is the Shortbow. It's a venerable weapon, staple of just about every kind of fantasy genre that you can imagine. Always the favored weapon of ranged thieves and other folks who like to sneak around. A little bit easier to manipulate and keep hidden than a longbow. Has a little bit less range, but it can still be very deadly in tight quarters. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look and see where this weapon came from and how it has evolved over the history of the game. All right, so the short bow appears first in the rules for original D&D. The longbow and shortbow both appear. Interestingly enough, while they diverged in damage in later editions, the damage was the same initially because I guess they thought, well, they both use arrows and arrows do the same damage. The difference came in their range. So a short bow had a short range of 50, medium of 150, or a medium of 100 and long of 150. So in other words, range increments of 50. And in this edition, with the 3 range increments, you had a +1 to hit in the short range, a flat roll to hit in the middle range, and a -1 to hit at long range. It cost 25 gold, and it weighed 2 pounds, or 20 coins of encumbrance, as opposed to the longbow, which was a little bit bulkier and had a little bit more range. All right. And then in first edition, they kind of divvied up the way they did their weapons in kind of a strange way. They had their weapons, all the costs on them on one page, and then you had to go to a different table to figure out what their damage did. So a short bow costs 15 gold in AD&D or first edition, while arrows, a single arrow costs 2 silver pieces, or a dozen arrows are a gold. And then when you get over to this other page, you learn a little bit about the weapon damage. So arrow damage is 1d6. And then there's the rate of fire for hurled and missile weapons. So a short bow lets you fire twice per round, 50, 100, 150 lengths or range increments. And then it had this armor class adjustment. So you had to know what they expected you to know in first edition, or yeah, in AD&D, when the way they wrote the rules, is that if your enemy had a certain armor class, they were either easier to hit or harder to hit, depending on what weapon you were using. Kind of strange. So, and remember that armor classes are backwards. So the lower the armor class number, the better. So with a short bow, when you were shooting at a target at an armor class 2, you actually had -5 on your attack roll. Armor class 3 was -4, armor class 4 was -1, armor class 5 and 6 were 0, so you didn't make any adjustment to your attack roll. And then 7, you made a +1 to your attack roll. 8 and 9, you made a +2, and 10, you made a +2. So, yeah, that's that's what they expected you to do for for first edition. That was a very strange edition. I don't think any other edition um, before or since had gone to that strange because I think they figured everybody, oh yeah, that's just too complicated. We're not going to do that. I don't think many groups actually played it that way. Because it would be very difficult then to figure out what you needed, depending on what your armor class was. All right, so then we go to second edition. Second edition, the short bow costs 30 gold pieces, weighed 2 pounds, medium size, a speed factor of 7. And you notice it has no damage because a, a bow doesn't kill people, arrows kill people. Um, and then let's see, so where was the. Actually, see, it doesn't even have the. Oh, flight arrow is 1d6, and then a sheaf arrow. So by this time, they had said, okay, your flight arrows, um, they would deal some damage. I think your sheaf arrows, if you actually looked at it, it modified the range for your weapon. They were heavier, and so they wouldn't go quite as far. But because they were heavier, they would deal more damage if they hit. So yeah, once again, other kinds of things there. Third edition. Ranged weapons. Shortbow. 30 gold. 20 arrows, 1 gold piece. Damage. Let's see, they don't even do this table. They don't even repeat the headings. So damage on a when used by a small or medium creature, or by a small creature is 1d4. When used by a medium creature is 1d6. Critical is times 3 multiplier. So, you do 1d6 on a um, medium creature. If you get a crit, it's 3d6 instead of 1d6. And damage or range increment is 60 feet, so that means it's 60, 120, and 180. 2 pounds of weight, and it deals piercing damage. All right. And then in 4th edition, yeah, crossbow or short bow's not that different. Short bow has +2 proficiency. Damage is a little higher. It's 1d8 for your damage. The range is 15 squares or 30 squares. So a square is 5 feet. So 15 times 5 is 75 feet. 30 times 5 is 150 feet. Price is 25 gold, 2 pounds. And then load free. So that means that loading the bow is a free action. So you don't have to spend an action to do that. Now, a crossbow, you have to spend a minor action to load it. So that's the difference there. And then a short bow is considered a small weapon, which having a small weapon means certain things in 4th edition mechanically. That's the same thing as you'll find in 5th edition, where you'll see things like it's a versatile weapon or a light weapon or other types of things, and that has a mechanical meaning for what that weapon does and how you can use it. All right, so, and speaking of 5th edition, here we come to 5th edition. Short bow is a ranged weapon, 25 gold, weighs 2 pounds. So that weight has been pretty constant all the way through, but the price, you can see, has fluctuated a little bit as we go on. Damage is back to 1d6, so most of the editions have had the damage at 1d6. There was a little damage inflation in 4e where it went up to 1d8, but it's back. Weight consistent at 2 pounds. Properties of the weapon. It requires ammunition, has range, and now this one I think is the longest range in any of the editions, where the short range is 80 and the long range is 320. And of course, what that means is that within 80 feet, you have a normal attack roll. At 320 feet, you get disadvantage on the attack roll. And then it's a two-handed weapon because you have to use two hands to wield it. All right. Well, that is going to do it for our discussion of the short bow. I have been DM Gallibond. This has been Combat Saturday. Subscribe to the channel, like, share the videos, click the post notification bell, all that kind of good stuff. Description, you find all of the social media platforms that you can follow. Find out about the live streams during the week. Look at all the archives on the channel. And hope you all will have a wonderful evening. Good night, everybody.